Hey everyone, welcome back to the Let Go Movement Podcast. My name is Acacia. I'm your host, and today we're talking about techniques to realign and open the creative flow. These techniques are going to go beyond the tools I mentioned in the second episode of this series, How to Develop Your Intuitive Awareness Daily. These techniques are about really opening up the floodgates, really connecting yourself straight to source, straight to your higher being, and bypassing kind of the junk that kind of gets in the way. And so, whether you're experiencing a moment of misalignment or you simply just want to deepen your connection to yourself and really cultivate even more trust and unwavering knowing, these tools that I'm going to share with you today are designed to connect you deeply and quickly to that universal higher self energy flow. Most of these tools can be learned for self-facilitation and also be done in private and group settings. Now, having a facilitator, a practitioner, or a coach is an amazing way to speed up the process and help you see your blind spots, hold space for all that comes out in these processes, while also holding that vision that you have for yourself when at times you feel not connected or you can't see it, or you're just wavering, you're going through your process. It's a little uncomfortable. Having that coach, that facilitator, that practitioner there to hold that light is so powerful. I love working with the coaches that I've worked with in the past, and the one I have now, I'm always, messaging her and we're just clearing shit. And sometimes she asked me a question that I didn't even realize would create so much in my world. And that's just the power of having someone from an outside perspective see that more broader range and help you see the broader range also. Some of the practices that I'm going to share with you do need another human being. There's one in particular that I'm going to share with you that requires a practitioner to run the process on you. Yes, you can run the process on yourself, but it is designed for you to be in total receiving mode, which means allowing someone else to run the process for you. That's the most impactful. That's the most efficient. And we'll get to that one in a second. But before we jump into these amazing tools, I've really enjoyed sharing this series with you, and there is more to come. My email community always gets the latest updates and the offers and gifts. So if we haven't already connected in the inbox, I'll drop a link for you to hop into. I love seeing more people join the email community. It really makes me smile. And so great way to just stay up to date with everything, be it what's coming out on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, or like I said, my offers and life in general. It's a way I communicate with my audience. So let's get into these tools. So the first one is breath work. And this is different than just meditation or the regular breathing that I mentioned in that second episode. What breath work does, and there's different forms of breath work, but what it does is bring you into an altered state of consciousness that allows your subconscious to release on a very deep level. This practice is usually guided by a facilitator where they guide you through a 3-part breath wave, incorporating music and sound, and really set the environment for deep transformation to occur. It can be intense, but please don't let that deter you. I highly recommend this. And this is also a reminder for myself to actually go and take a breath work because I feel like I'm a little overdue for a session. I love doing them in groups. Many people kind of get a little scared when it's the first time doing a breathwork group session because you can kind of go into rigor mortis. People sometimes cry. But it's very interesting how your body just takes over, your brain completely lets go, and the messages and the visions and the intuition that comes through can be so powerful and life-changing. I remember one session I did with Clayton. I actually couldn't talk for 2 hours after the session because I was just processing so much. It was such a powerful session, and we were with 12 other people, and I just didn't talk. I was just nope. The message was clear. You need to process the energy. I didn't even know what happened. I just knew that processing was occurring. Then after a while, I started to come down from all of that, and I started talking to him through text message so he could listen to it on his through his car. Just funny moment there. But the intensity, the craziness of it, please don't let that deter you from trying it or diving deeper into it. Maybe you've tried it and you had an experience that kind of freaked you out a little bit. Try again. Every session is so different. There's not been a single session of breath work that has been the same. And I've probably done it close to like 10 times now. So breath work, it's super powerful. It's a little uncomfortable at first, but it's, like I said, altering your conscious state, and your body goes through this transformation. It's deeply healing, deeply liberating. The awareness you get, the love you get, the community of people that comes into these spaces is also so beautiful. So highly recommend breath work. And that's one that I would say be facilitated. Go search out a group session, go search out a private practitioner. The second one is Access Consciousness bars, getting your bars run. So like breath work, when our subconscious deeply releases, Access Consciousness also does the same thing by putting someone else's hands on your head on these 32 specific points. A session should take about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on your practitioner. And that hour is really designed to allow all the layers to unwind and unravel and release. When they scan the brain, a dysfunctional brain is very blue and red. And through the process of the bars, we recalibrate the nervous system and the brain waves, and then the brain waves all go green. And so we get to this state in Access Consciousness bars very often where very advanced meditation can get you. After years of experiencing, you can get the same results of like a brain capacity in a 90-minute session, 60-minute session of your bars being run. I get my bars run weekly. I have strived for weekly bars since 2021. It is one of the practices that I first started to incorporate more into my life to help me calm my mind chatter. I love meditating on my own. I'm a big fan of guided meditations, but the bars allows me to just let go of everything and to clear the energetic charge. So what it does is releases the energetic charge around those thoughts, feelings, emotions, and considerations around all these different areas of your life. So topics like communication and money and form and structure, joy and happiness and our bodies, our sexuality, all these categories of life that intertwine with each other to create beliefs and then therefore create what we experience in the world. When we start to begin to destroy and uncreate the neuropathic pathways by releasing the energetic charge, we get to create different ones. And one of the most amazing stories I've had from a client is I gave her a quickie bar session. I was doing little pop-up tasters in Mexico, and 15 minutes, that's it, okay? She came in, she said, I saw you post about this, I want to try it out. Put my hands on her head, 15 minutes later, sent her off. A week later, she comes back, so I was doing it again, and she's just like, I have to tell you the craziest thing. And I was like, okay, tell me, I love stories. And she goes, when I was 5, my house collapsed on me. It blew up and it collapsed on me. I've had anxiety of leaving the house every day of my life since then. And it's just become part of my life. I don't even recognize it. It's just always there. And it's really intense. She's like, the day after our session, I left the house without a care in the world. And my kids were like, what's up with mom? She's calm. She's not anxious. What's going on? Let's just say 25 plus years being an anxious person, leaving your house or being in your house. And then all of a sudden one day just being like, the anxiety just is gone. She's like, I want to thank you. I was like, hey, you did the work. I facilitated that process, but your body was ready to let it go. So I'm so glad that you shared that with me. That is the power of Access Bars. But ultimately, that's a power of you and your intuition and your higher self and Source being like, okay, it's time to let this go. So Access Bars, I've seen and heard from people who were suicidal that had their bars run and they weren't anymore. They're not anymore. People get off of anxiety medication because they get their bars run. And it's really about tuning back into the body, letting the brain process all the things, letting those electrical charges change. I mean, I remember running bars on somebody who had really tough conversations when they saw their family. And they mentioned how, ever since getting their bars run, they can sit with the conversations without as many irritating emotions come up. So that's literally changing how they approach a situation. That's changing the emotions that are coming up in the first place, releasing them from scenarios. It's releasing them from attaching to things in your life. So bars, if you have a brain, if you have a body, bars, oh my gosh. And you can learn how to do bars. A little plug for all my bars facilitators out there. If you learn how to do bars, you can forever in your life trade with other bars practitioners around the the world. And that's how I've got my bars run weekly without paying for anything. And it, like, again, fast tracks that connection to myself more, clears more. So I have a clear path to my higher self. Okay, next one, EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. I love this. And this one and the last one I'm going to talk about are also married in a way of using the governing meridian line from Chinese medicine. So emotional freedom technique is rooted in tapping on these points on your face, head, and upper body. And you go through all the limitations or the shitty comments about whatever it is. And as you go through all the thoughts, feelings, emotions that are kind of shitty, you process the energy signature of that out of your meridian lines, therefore out of your body, out of your sphere. And then you reinforce feelings you want to have, outcomes you want to experience. It's super powerful. There's ways you can do it tapping on your fingers. So when you're like in public and you don't want to like tap under your eyes or tap the top of your mouth or like underneath on top of your chin and like your collarbone, when you don't want to be tapping your head and your face and your upper body, you can tap your fingers in public. It's a great way to, again, get things out of your brain, pull up all the shit, clear it out, let it go, and then reinforce with the magic that you want, with the, again, intentions you want, outcomes you want, creations you want. How do you want to feel? How do you want to speak? How do you want to perceive this? What do you want to, receive, create, have in your life? Reinforce in the same session the quote unquote better outcome and let all the other shit go. The last one we're going to talk about is emotion code healing. I use this a lot with my clients. It's a great way to kind of like dive in quick, very non-invasive, and it is about releasing all the trapped emotions around events in your life currently, what you might have had going on in the womb, what you brought into the world when you were conceived, and lives past. So emotions, when looked, they're just an energy signature. They get created by certain organs and they can get trapped within the body. And we again use the governing meridian line to clear them out of the body. So the difference between EFT is more thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and emotions. But the emotion code is just emotions that are created by organs in the body from certain events or that we've brought into our life from inheritance or past lives that we've kept. And in clearing those and bringing those emotions up to clear, we clear them from the meridian line, we clear them from our body, they're gone. It's not about removing memories, but it is about moving the emotions that weren't processed in a certain event. For example, I processed my period cramps years ago. Took me a couple sessions to fully clear that. Recently, I've had to clear them again. The amazing results happen. But when you clear, I was clearing all the trapped emotions within the womb around the period, what I had bought generations, massive amounts of generations back, where I was holding on to things that were being passed down through me, hereditary, if you will, of women harboring the same emotions over and over and over again. So I got the lovely gift this time around in this life to clear those. The result of that, the result of doing those few emotion code sessions around my period cramps meant I've experienced periods in a very drastic way than I used to. Cramps completely decreased, usually sit for maybe a day. When it starts to get more intense, it usually means I got to do some clearing again. Usually means I'm harboring some emotions, frustrations, feeling a little bit of unworthiness in there. I got to clear that, and usually my cramps completely cleared up. Yeah, I use emotion code a lot on myself. I use it a lot with my clients. It's non-invasive. Also, when you bring up a topic, you don't realize until you start doing the work, the digging, the belief work, the limitation work, same thing, beliefs, the emotion work, the energetic work, essentially, because everything is energy. When you start to do this work, you start to see the interconnectedness of so much and then how it plays out in your life currently. So for example, I had a client, we were working on one specific subject, but it kept bringing up this very particular time when they were a child. and a lot of kind of crap that was happening in their childhood and how they were processing and the emotions that they were harboring and the beliefs that they were taking on were creating directly what they were experiencing right now. And they didn't even put the two together. But when they did, when the emotion code system put me in touch with that, it all made sense. And they were like, oh, okay. So it gave them a moment to just like totally clear that, acknowledge it for what it was and release it, which is so powerful. Which then again, when you clear the energy, you clear the pathway for your body, your being, your life to start being created in harmony and with co-creation of all the aspects. So I'm curious if any of these techniques are part of your life. I want to know. Drop which one you currently practice in the comments so I can send you some little energy to that. And if you're curious to try one actually that you might not have tried, let me know that too. I'm curious. So let's have a conversation. Let me know what's going on. This is what I do. I work with people and I invite you to claim a 30-minute session with me. And I invite you to work one-on-one together. If you're looking for someone to help you facilitate you in moving forward in any area of your life. So let's connect and see if my one-on-one facilitation and coaching is what you and your being has been asking for. So drop the word creation and I'm going to make sure that you get a link directly to book with me. So I really hope that this whole series has contributed something to your life. I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. I hope that you gained a little bit more awareness around what could be blocking your intuition from speaking to you and you communicating with it. I hope that you gain more insight and more tools of how to develop a daily connection with your intuition and recognize and how to navigate when you are in misalignment and what that could look like for you. And I hope that these techniques also have inspired you to maybe take some action or celebrate the ones that you do because not everything you have to do. Try what works for you. Go with what works and what's light for you, right? What's light for you is right for you. And I really hope that we can continue this conversation. This is the work I do one-on-one with people. We work on this connection to self. We work on the body. We work on reprogramming limiting beliefs. We work on clearing illusions, disconnection. We work on connecting back to self. And when we connect back to self, we're going to have a much easier time connecting to the world. And when we see ourselves, love ourselves, accept ourselves, allow ourselves to be and express fully connected with the energy source that we come from, we then can share that with the world with such confidence and knowing and trust because we're trusting in ourselves. And that is the ultimate form of trust. See you in the next episode. Have a magical day. Thanks everyone for tuning in.